Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is March 1st, 2024, and today is Friday morning. So, looking at the highlights of the day, AMD, which is the other major chip maker in the United States, makes new record highs. But first, looking at today's major economic events. So at 5 p.m. South African time, we have two numbers coming out of the United States, an ISM Manufacturing PMI number coming out, and a revised UoM Consumer Sentiment number coming out. Now, looking at the financial markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the Japanese yen gave up its gains versus the dollar, and the Turkish Lira making new lows once again. Now, looking at the indices, the NASDAQ trades back to its highs, while the Dow Jones does get a bounce. Now, looking at commodities, gold pushing higher above $2,040 an ounce, while oil remains unchanged. Now, looking at the stocks, not just AMD that made new highs, but JP Morgan and Amazon also making new highs. Facebook and Microsoft pivot higher as well. Now, lastly, looking at cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin holding on to its gains. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So here we go. First with the Japanese yen. Now, the Japanese yen wasn't an easy trade. Completely accepted. I'm just saying it, highlighting it. Really, the Forex symbol is not trading much this past week. The Australian dollar did have a pivot this week, but it was very, very specific, and it was more news-related and early hours of the morning to trade it, so I kind of avoided it. Can't trade the markets 24/7. It's just, you can have positions 24/7, but to initiate those trades in the middle of the night, well, we're humans, and there's enough activity throughout the day. You don't have to go to waking yourself up at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning when the Australian dollar does open. Okay, let's focus on this. The Japanese yen did pivot stronger the other day, just hitting that 30-day moving average. You can just see it. And then it just bounced right through it. 148.86 back to 150 on a daily chart. That's a pretty decent move. So if you're able to catch it, great. I'm not saying it was an easy trade, but it was definitely some activity in the Japanese yen, where we're not seeing any activity with the euro or any of the other majors. Now, jumping into the Turkish Lira, you can see it. There's a gap up here. We went from 31.17 to 31.27, 10 pips. Now, if you're continuously doing 10 pips on a daily basis over 10 days, that's 100 pips. That's not bad. And then one lot of that gives you about $1,000 in the Euro USD. So with the Turkish Lira just continuously depreciating, no end in sight, the economy, unfortunately, going into some rapid inflation, and that's continuous until something changes there. You're going to continue seeing this get lower and lower. Now, jumping into the gold. Gold now pivoting higher to 2046. The question is whether or not we're going to continue this going upwards. We do have resistance at 2052-ish level, so just be aware of it. So this is something to look at today. Crude oil doing absolutely nothing on its resistances level. If it does get a breakout, then it will be exciting. Above 79.80, we might see something get closer to $80 a barrel. Now, jumping into the Dow Jones. Did move higher yesterday, about 100 and something points, nothing big. Really on the back of the bank stocks pivoting higher, the JP Morgan specifically. I'm not doing much activity there. However, looking at the NASDAQ, making new highs and on new highs on its resistance. So just this morning, we're making these new highs, so it's not something that we can run into. However, looking at it, we got to look at what's making and what's shaking the markets. Okay, so I'm going to jump to AMD. Now, AMD is Intel's major competitor. It's not NVIDIA's. It's also a major corporation in the United States. And it's moved to 192, which is all-time record highs. If we look at a monthly, you can see that. Okay, that is just dead on its highs. Now, what do we do now? Well, it's scary to kind of chase it, okay, because you're not sure where the top is and will it retrace, as we saw with NVIDIA. So I would just, day trade it, but look for opportunities to jump into it, okay? It's more aggressive on the outside, but it's going to act like NVIDIA. It's going to fake you out and think that it's not so strong, and then it's going to move out higher. So just be biased on the upside, but just be careful on the downside as well. Now, jumping into Amazon, making new highs here, as that is looking to 176. If we look at JP Morgan, also made new highs yesterday to 186 as well. Now, when we looked at Facebook, inching to its highs. It wants to break out higher. It hasn't got that gusto. So just keep an eye on it. Okay, if anything else, you want to just wait until the stocks kind of confirm their upwards momentum before jumping in. Now, looking at Microsoft also, we had a bullish day yesterday from 408 to 413. Also off of its all-time record highs by about 7 points, so that's a big deal. But besides that, not much going on in the particular markets. Looking at NVIDIA, it's close to its highs, but didn't do any kind of major move. We might see a rotation, and then NVIDIA might be the next one today to look at, so that's something to consider. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin before we do that. Okay, so here, jumping at Bitcoin, we hit 63K yesterday, but then we retraced and we're at 6140. We're holding on to its gains, at least for now. So keep an eye on this. And again, just play very defensive with Bitcoin because it can whipsaw you in several directions. Keep that in mind. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.